According to reports, West Ham United have agreed a deal with Zenit St Petersburg for their Brazilian centre-back Robert Renan, and he will be joining the Hammers in the January transfer window for $21.5 million. When I say join the Hammers, I mean transfer of contract. He won't physically join West Ham until later on in 2024. Sounds complicated? It's a way to get even more complicated when I tell you what the report actually suggests. Now I know you might be thinking, transfer rumours? Really? First of all, it's been ages since I've done a transfer rumour show. Second of all, it's not that far away, 3 weeks until the January transfer window opens. And third, it's easy content. I have to admit, I'm really busy with this store today, so it's tapping content. So there's a little bit of news, it's reports, news, rumours, some rumours, and a bit of an opinion piece for myself as well. Then an update on the store at the end of the video for those who don't care about our online shop. But let's start with the report. Now this has come from UOL Esporte. So I went and had a little look. Who is UOL Esporte? Never heard of them. They're a Brazilian outlet with 1.5 million followers on Twitter. So quite a substantial following, because last week I got tricked. Remember that statistic that was going around, West Ham's best ever start to Premier League season after 15 Premier League games? Well, I got tricked by that one, didn't I? I just assumed it was true. People sent it to me. As you do, speaking to West Ham fans, it got sent to me enough. I just believed it to be true. I didn't actually go and look, which is not like me. Usually I check things like that, things that are factual. I go check them because I don't like myths. Anyway, I just assumed it was true. It turns out it's not true. Allardyce has done it. David Moyes has even had a better start to it. So not to make the same mistake twice, I went and had a look. Who is UOL Esporte? So that's what I've found. But this is what is on Twitter, and it's come from those. It says Corinthians can... I know you're thinking, hang on, Corinthians, where do they come from? We'll get on to it. Corinthians can count on defender Robert Renan in the 2024 season. Timao, who are Corinthians, would be the bridge in a negotiation between Zenit from Russia and West Ham from England. Zenit would sell the defender to the English club for 25 million euros. Corinthians and the Russians are still discussing whether the loan will be for a year or 6 months. The Sao Paulo club only accepts the deal if it can count on the defender until the end of 2024. So they want him for the calendar year. Now, this is where it gets a little bit strange. Why would Corinthians be involved with negotiations with Zenit St Petersburg? So what they're suggesting is West Ham are going to buy the defender for 21.5 million English pounds, but he's going to go to Corinthians for the rest of the season. Now, the negotiation is actually whether it's the rest of the English season, so he'd come back to West Ham in the summer, or whether he would stay there for the whole calendar year of 2024. Now, why Zenit would be doing the deal for the loan with Corinthians and not West Ham, I'm unsure. How true this is, it's a struggle to believe it, but it just seems a bit too random. Sometimes these things come up and it just seems too random to not be true, if that makes sense. Now, we've obviously had Rob Newman went over to Brazil, then Steidten went to Brazil in the summer transfer window to try and sign a striker, but he's not been playing in Brazil while he's Brazilian, he's been playing in Russia. So it's even trying to put the pieces together isn't really working for me on this one. So it's let's wait and see. But it seems quite a bold claim because it's quite like definitive that West Ham have agreed a deal with Zenit St Petersburg, and it's a substantial amount of money. I've never heard of him. He's 20 years old. He's a left-sided centre-back. That's all I know. I know nothing about him. Played 18 games for Zenit so far this season, but that's because that report then went on to the One Football app. But I did see it on Twitter before seeing it on One Football. So interesting. One to keep your eye on. Now, before we get on to the other stuff, including comments from Fabrizio Romano, a player I really want to see at West Ham in the January transfer window, and a potential striker arriving at West Ham. If you're new around here, please do subscribe and drop a like on it as well. Both things are free. Helps out this video, helps out the channel, keeps me happy. Ian Maatsen, would love him at West Ham. I wanted him in the summer. Seen him loads for Burnley. Bit part player for Chelsea so far this season. Chelsea were open to selling him towards the end of the transfer window. They're just asking for an extreme amount of money. They triggered a clause in his contract to add that extra year on so that they could retain the values, just like we've done with Pablo Fornals. Nothing wrong with that. They're perfectly entitled to do it. But there's two different reports coming out of Chelsea. One in regards to Ian Maatsen, which is they're not sure he's got a future and they're open to selling him. Now, the other report, which is perhaps interesting, is that they have discussed selling Conor Gallagher. They're speaking of bridges with Corinthians and Zenit St Petersburg. We'll get onto that. There's a bridge here between the two rumours. The rumour in regards to Gallagher is that they might need to sell Gallagher, or they want to sell Gallagher, not because they don't think he's got a future at Chelsea or they think he's a bad player. It's just for money, for financial fair play, that because he's homegrown and he has a lot of profit in him, they think that he might be the one to sell in order to keep the FFP going, to free up funds for them to spend in the January transfer window. Now, that is obviously applicable to Maatsen as well. So while the rumours are there about Gallagher, you could take Gallagher out and put Maatsen in, and that explanation remains the same because Maatsen's also come through their academy as well. We'd absolutely love him. Homegrown player, left-sided player. Now, a left back for Burnley last season on loan, can play further forward. When he has played for Chelsea this season, usually off the bench, he's usually come on and gone into a left wing role. We need backup for Emerson. We need that. I've been a big Adam Creswell fan since he was at Ipswich, but especially at West Ham. And it's not because he's a slim Geo and I'm a fat Adam Creswell. Thank you to the Geordie. I'm just a big fan of him. I've defended him plenty. Arguably, I've done better defending of Adam Creswell than Adam Creswell's done this season. And I've defended him over his situation, if you want to call it that, in regards to the rumours at the start of the season when he was on strike. I don't believe them. I don't believe he was on strike. That's just my own opinion. But he's had 9 brilliant years here. Obviously, the red cards in there. He's missed a bit through injury and whatnot. But this season so far has been a disaster for him. And for the club, quite frankly, we decided to keep him. He wanted to leave. We didn't let him leave. And now these are the repercussions. We've got Emerson at left back and we don't have an adequate second choice. Don't really want to see Ben Johnson there long term. Don't want to see Kerr play there. And Creswell, he's becoming unusable. He's becoming a player that actually can't even consider him as part of the squad, just because A, there's not enough football for him, B, when he does play, he's not up to it. So I think bringing in a left back in January could be pivotal. But the club are probably only going to move in January for a left back if the right player's available at the right price. Well, by the sounds of it, he is, and that is Ian Maatsen. I think he'd be a terrific signing for us. And not only would he give competition to him, and it would be competition because Creswell and Johnson can play left back, but they're not competition for Emerson. Maatsen would be. Maatsen's good enough to put the pressure on Emerson. Now, I don't think he'll take his shirt. I think Emerson's, if I did Hammer of the Year right now, I'd give it to Bowen, and my runner-up would be Emerson. That's how my voting would go. And I think that's how the voting would probably end up as well. Paqueta might win it because it's a bit of a popularity thing. It doesn't really reflect the best player of the season. It's a popularity contest as much as a performance-based one. But Emerson's been superb. However, Maatsen can play further forward. And we have a vacancy at left wing in the team. While Paqueta has fulfilled that role to some extent, A, a lot of people want him to see him moved inside, and B, we need alternatives to that role. We have ironically enough, bar centre back, left wing's probably the position we've got most cover in with Ben Rama, Cornet, Paqueta, Fornals. But that's also the position that's up for grabs because none of them have really secured it as their spot, and none of them are a left winger. So actually, there's a space in the team for Maatsen. So while he can cover Emerson, he could actually play in the first 11 as well. So get Maatsen to West Ham, please, in January. We've not really been linked to him in the last week or so. It's just someone I'm desperate to see in the claret and blue. Now, Fabrizio Romano has said that we are going to be busy in January. This stuff's coming out. The spiel's coming out from the club. We've had it already. No funds. I seen Sean's tweet yesterday or earlier today. West Ham have to be careful because of financial fair play. I'm not buying it whatsoever. I think the club are just trying to play it down, maintain expectation, pretend to be poor. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. You don't want to brag that you've got 50 million to spend. Remember we did it with James Tarkowski. Remember David Sullivan went on TalkSport announcing how much we'd bid for Tarkowski, therefore telling everybody how much we've got to spend on the centre-back. I mean, that was a clever thing to do, wasn't it? So the club pretending we're scared, it's nothing new. We do it every transfer window. Fabrizio Romano, as Gonzo always says, has got good links to Steidten. We know that. But the other thing you have to remember is Fabrizio Romano was the man that put Steidten's name out there in the public domain. So when there was rumours that we were going to get a director of football in, Romano said, it's Tim Steidten and he's done. And a week went by and Tim Steidten still wasn't at West Ham. So Fabrizio Romano naturally fielded questions, which is, well, where is he then? You've said a week ago he's coming. Where is he? Romano stuck to his guns. It always said, no, he's done. It's done. It's just not announced yet. He just hasn't signed it. Everything's verbally agreed. He just needs to sign it. Then eventually, if Romano changed it, he's signed it now. He'll be announced. And there was a couple of days before he was announced. But Fabrizio Romano was first and confident that Tim Steidten was the new director of football West Ham. Now, technical director, but job title. Put the job title to one side here. Romano was, from day one, was incredibly confident Steidten was the man coming to West Ham, and he was proven correct. It's quite clear, it's quite obvious who Romano's source is now, and that is Tim Steidten. So when Romano says West Ham are doing a lot of work, they're going to be busy in the January transfer window. Nothing's advanced yet, but they're going to be busy. I'm believing that because I'm assuming and hoping. Now, I don't want Tim Steidten. I'm not hoping as in I hope Steidten's leaking things, but I'm hoping it's come from Steidten because that means we're going to be busy. So I'm assuming Romano's link, his source, Romano's source for this is Tim Steidten. So I'm willing to believe it is. So I'm expecting us to be busy. Now, another player that we're being linked to is Guirassy. We've discussed him before. Still scoring goals over in Bundesliga. Still going to Africa Nations Cup. Still got that release clause of 17.5 million as well. I'd be surprised if someone doesn't trigger it in the January transfer window. There's another couple of Premier League clubs looking at him supposedly. Wolves were one of them. But since those rumours came out, Cunha and Hwang are... Well, Cunha's began scoring goals. Hwang's continued to score goals. So perhaps they won't need a striker. Krasic is back for them as well. So they've got competition up front. He's one of those players I'd be excited to get, and I think he'd be a success for us in the short term. How the longevity of this transfer, I'm unsure, but I do think he'd bring goals to us. I think he'd suit the way that we're playing, even under David Moyes. But he's also someone I could see playing under a different style going forward as well. So an interesting one. It's one I'm keeping my eye on actually, because I do think he'll be on the move in January. It's just a case of do we get him, or is there someone else that's going to go in for him? I'm hoping it's us. Now, the last player I'm going to speak about, it's not even a player, it's a position. Kind of a player. Edson Alvarez. We need a replacement for Edson Alvarez. Not so much in the sense that I want to sell Edson Alvarez, because I said in the last video, we need a replacement for Alvarez. And someone said, why? What's wrong with him? That's my fault. That's my fault. I didn't word it correctly. I don't mean we need a replacement because we need to sell him. We need a replacement for when he's unavailable, that we've got someone to come into the team. And this is where, as good as the transfer window was in regards to who we brought in, I do think the transfer window also had poor aspects attached to it, which was, well, where was the replacement for Flyn Downs? Now, and this is a confirmation bias on my part, perhaps, because when the window's shut, I thought, hang on a minute, why have we got rid of Flyn Downs? Because there was two things guaranteed. Bringing in Edson Alvarez to be a defensive midfielder also took with him two guarantees. One, he was going to miss games through suspension. He picked up plenty of bookings for Mexico, for Ajax. He was guaranteed to be suspended. He's already had one. He's going to have another one when he gets 10 yellow cards in Premier League and misses 2 games. So he comes with suspensions guaranteed. Not only that, he plays for Mexico. So the fact that he was going to struggle after the international breaks was also a guarantee. So with those two things in mind, you would assume the club have a plan B. Now, as Gonza said to me the other day, they do. It's Souček and Ward-Prowse. You just don't like it. And I accept that. Fine, that was a plan B. But I think we can say now, plan B doesn't work. It seems a bit of a wild plan B as well, to go from a defensive midfielder with 2 number 8s to switching to sort of 2 number 6s and then a number 10. It doesn't it's not like for like switches. You're not switching personnel. You've got to switch everything. Alvarez comes out, the formation changes, how we can play changes. Alvarez has become pivotal to the way that we play, not necessarily because of Edson Alvarez's performances. And I'm happy with how he's performing so far, don't get me wrong. But he's become pivotal because we don't have a direct replacement for him. Now, my grievance in the sense that we loaned out Flyn Downs, well, people would counter it and say, well, Flyn Downs wasn't good enough. Again, I don't necessarily disagree. I don't think he got a fair crack at it last season. I think we've seen in glimpses that he could do something. He has some good performances. I think in other games he got put under the bus a little bit. At one point he's playing right wing in a game. Played in the number 10 on a couple of occasions, away to Liverpool, Man United maybe, where he was playing like attacking midfield. I mean, it was just a bit bonkers. I never really felt he got a fair crack at West Ham last season. But there were some games where he was poor. There were some games where he looked average at best, and you thought, I'm not sure about this one working out long term. So while I say loaning out Flyn Downs without a replacement was an error, it's not necessarily because we've loaned out Flyn Downs, it's because we didn't bring anybody in. Because Downs would have been the natural replacement for Alvarez. Now, obviously, there is an issue there, which is even if we still had Flyn Downs, doesn't mean David Moyes would have played him. We'd have probably still went with James Ward-Prowse and Thomas Souček. I don't disagree with that, actually. But we've seen what West Ham are like without Alvarez on a few occasions now, and I do not like it one bit. Them two, as a centre midfield partnership, are horrific. We've seen it against Olympiacos, we've seen it against Fulham, we've seen it enough times now to stop it. Now, there's been good moments when we need a goal and we take Alvarez off. That's the right thing to do because the onus is on us to go and score, whether it be Burnley away and we're a goal down, whether it be Crystal Palace at home and we've got them pinned back, Alvarez comes off, that's fine. But those games are few and far between. That's reacting to a game rather than being proactive. So I do think in the January transfer window, bringing in somebody that can replace Edson Alvarez when he's unavailable would be a wise move. I don't think that will happen though. I don't think it'll happen. While I have an expectation we might bring in a striker, possibly a left back, I certainly don't have one when it comes to a defence midfielder. That's just a desire. That last bit was an opinion piece. There's no reports that we're after a defence midfielder. Just something I'd like to say, and I thought I'd squeeze it into this video. Anyway, if you want a Hammers Chat update, stick around. If you don't want a Hammers Chat update, this is the end of the video for you. Please do drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new to Hammers Chat, and you can go and disappear. And hopefully I'll catch you tomorrow for the build-up show. 8 o'clock kickoff, so 6:55, myself and Gonzo will be live. We'll see you then. Now, for you lot that are nosy, or you have an order with us, you're thinking, what's this about the shop? Has something happened to my order? Don't worry, it's good. It's all good. It's literally just good news, actually. First of all, loads of Christmas jumpers left. I'm promoting it because I've ordered far too many. I just assumed we'd sell more. If you fancy getting a Christmas jumper, there's 2 designs. hammerschatstore.com. Click on Christmas. You can find them there. Right, I've got a little list here. Christmas jumpers, done that. Orders. If you've ordered something over the sales, I'm working on them as fast as I can. I'm getting them out to you as fast as I can. Some have already been posted. The majority are going tomorrow. The Royal Mail will come to my house tomorrow and pick up the sacks that I've done, and they'll take them away. Everything is sent tracked 4 to 8. So you'll get when I've done it, I will click the bits at my end. You'll get an email saying that Hammers Chat have done it, and you'll have tracking link. Everything's tracked 48, so the majority of orders will arrive on Saturday. If you've ordered a Canning Town Len print, they will not be with you on Saturday. Len's done them, they're on their way to me, they arrive with me tomorrow, so I'll get them out ASAP, but you won't have them till next week. So if you think, where's my order? I ordered the print. You're not getting it till next week, alright? Just calm down. But if you do order anything today, by the way, you're guaranteed to get till Christmas. Right, Tony Gale books. Next week, myself and Gonzo are meeting up with Tony Gale. We've got 100 of his autobiographies, and he's going to be signing every single one of them. So if you want a signed Tony Gale autobiography for Christmas, for yourself or for someone else, you can go and get one now. But just be aware, you won't get them till the end of next week because we're meeting up with him on Wednesday. Why have I got Geo, Gonzo, Charlie? Oh yeah, Dix. Bad joke, sorry. So I thought it was funny, Dix. Right, anyway. Months ago, some of you kindly pre-ordered a Julian Dix signed shirt or Julian Dix signed print. We're finally meeting up with Julian. He's been in America coaching for the last couple of months, so we couldn't meet up with him. On Wednesday, after we meet up with Tony Gale, myself and Gonzo are going to meet up with Julian Dix with all the shirts and all the prints. He's going to be signing them all, and then on Thursday next week I'm going to get them all posted out to you. Again, mailman comes back to my house, collects the sacks which will contain Canning Len Town prints, which will contain Julian Dix stuff, which will contain hopefully some people ordering Christmas jumpers, mugs, socks, scarves, whatever. That is our last posting day. Next Thursday is the last day. Because it goes track 48, it should arrive with you on Saturday the 23rd. Obviously the Royal Mail's really busy. Now, I've never had a complaint with the Royal Mail since we've been doing this. We've got like a business account with them for about a year now. Not had an issue. I have an issue on Mondays because the guy doesn't come to the door like he's supposed to. But apart from that, everything's been good. So I feel confident that next Thursday when everything gets collected, it'll arrive on Saturday. But please don't hold it to me. It's out of my hands. It's in the hands of the Royal Mail. So Tuesday next week is our last sort of I guarantee to post it before Christmas Day. It should be Wednesday, but I'll be with Gonzo meeting up with Tony Gale and Julian Dix, and then when I come back, A, West Ham are playing, and B, my priority is to get the Julian Dix and Tony Gale's orders done and sent out on the Thursday. So anyone that orders on Wednesday, I'll do my best, but I ain't promising a thing. You might have to wait till after Christmas to get that. So Tuesday's last delivery day. And that's it. So if you do want to get anything from the Hammers Chat store, go get it now. I'll get it posted out to you ASAP. I promise you I'm working as fast as I can. I will get everything sent out before Christmas. It will all arrive before Christmas unless you order it on Wednesday. But quite frankly, I think you leave it till Wednesday. I think you're chancing your luck yourself. But anyway, good news for those with Julian Dix stuff. Tony Gill, hammerschatstore.com. I'll catch you in a bit.